Sam Bruce alongside Brett Kimmorley for footytips.com.au. Brett, the NRL season is here and we start on Thursday night with an absolute blockbuster. The Broncos hosting the Rabbitohs at Suncorp Stadium.
It's an amazing stadium, yeah. It'll be full Thursday night football. Wayne's back in Brisbane. Let's see if that makes them the powerhouse they were a long time ago. Anthony Milford playing the 5'8" position. I look forward to see how he handles having the run of football side, because being a fullback, you just get to float and choose. I think they've struggled a bit the last few years, Broncos. They haven't been up to their expectations. So rebuilding a bit for Brisbane, where South Sydney coming off all the highs, got all the trophies you can possibly win at the moment. They bought extremely well with Tim Grant and Glenn Stewart in the off-season. Glenn Stewart looked really fit, and I think for Glenn Stewart and South Sydney fans, he plays a bit of ad-lib football, which maybe Wayne made him a statement last year saying they're too predictable, we know where they're going. Well, Glenn Stewart helps that a little bit. Luke Keary's there, and I think South Sydney will win this clash.
Moving on, it's the Eels and the Sea Eagles at Pertex Stadium on Friday night. The Eels, the loss of Jared Hayne is obviously the big one, while the Sea Eagles, they're a little bit of pre-season turmoil, debate about their halves. How's that going to affect them?
Well, I think for Manly, they love the pre-season debacle. They've always been a club that just thrives on backs against the wall, boardroom dramas, players hating each other, dramas here and there, but they just go out and play football. They're an extremely good football side. Obviously, Willie Mason and Felipe Mateo help the forward pack, because I think the forwards are a bit light on now at Manly, but with the two best halves combination in the competition, they've also got a lot of things on their mind, the two halves at Manly. They've got to make a decision on their future, but they've still got to worry about playing this game on Friday night. I think it'll be a tough game where for Parramatta, Anthony Watmow will make them a lot tougher. Anthony Watmow will bring that confidence. Will Hopewadi fills the position at fullback by Jared Hayne. But I just think Manly will surprise and upset and beat Parramatta at Parramatta Stadium.
You mentioned Anthony Watmow. Will he have a target on his back come Friday night?
Good luck trying to get him. He's a very physical player. They call him the one-man army, so he fights well. I'll be interested to see whether at some stage, there's always been rumours that Anthony Watmow and Daly Cherry-Evans never saw eye to eye. They now don't play in the same football side, so if there is a drama, we'll see if Watmow goes out of his way maybe to run over Cherry sometimes through the game.
Saturday afternoon, we're off to the Hunter, where the Knights are hosting the Warriors. The Knights, of course, Wayne Bennett gone. Rick Stone comes back into the top job once again, while the Warriors, they're starting to see the result of those great Holden Cup teams coming through.
They are, yeah. Well, Rick Stone had the job a few years ago and was unfortunately handed the reins to Wayne and had to wait his turn. So he gets another turn. Massive news that they haven't announced that Sione Matautia will be playing this weekend. So he's named as 18th man. The kid was a superstar at the end of last year, went on and played the Kangaroos tour. He's also signed to go to Canterbury, so the last thing you want to do is make him upset. So I would have thought that's an interesting move, not to have him in your 17-man side. So the coach is making a stance there and saying that I'm the boss and this is what's happening. So be interesting how they go. The Warriors have got a horrible record of winning the first game. They haven't won the first game away from home for a lot of years. I think they've bought Ryan Hoffman, which is a great buy. Comes out of a good system in Melbourne, a tough system that the Warriors need to understand that consistency is important to them. Andrew McFadden's done a good job. Carter, we saw a little bit of him in the nines. Some Holden Cup players are progressing there. Sean Johnson's got that golden boot. There's confidence in the air. I think the Warriors put a score on them.
Moving on, it's the Tigers and the Titans up there on the Gold Coast. Of course, the dramas on the Gold Coast need little mention, as the Tigers. A couple of great young halves, a strong pack. How are they going to go this year?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. You've got a club under pressure, will be under siege, so the players will react and just want to play football and respond. Josh Hoffman named at the centres, which is a major signing for them. Nate Miles, the captain. So Nate Miles is a pretty tough guy, and he'll lead them around and make sure there's some pride there. A club rebuilding for the Tigers. You know, new coach Jason Taylor, a new boardroom restructured, football club sort of in a happy place at the moment. So some young players, Mitchell Moses and Luke Brooks, young halves will go there. You'll see him play a bit more style, similar to what the Roosters play, with some structure, but still with some flair. I think it's an interesting game. Tigers will win, obviously on the back of it's a new start of the year, and I think it's a club rebuilding, and then they'll have a good year.
Cowboys and the Roosters up there in Townsville. I've been reading a bit in the media this week, and the push for the Cowboys this year has been pretty big.
If South Sydney don't win the comp, I think the Cowboys will. I think Cowboys are the team that are ready to win it. They've been unlucky the last few seasons. They've had some dud calls from referees. Good sides know how to win big games, and they've got Jonathan Thurston, it's always been that guy that's able to win it. But I think they've got other players now starting to go into the fold there. They understand that to win big games, it's not about big plays. It's about going through your plays better and just probably being more controlled at the end of the football game. I think they've got that now, the Cowboys. They're at home. Paul Green's there the second year. Tumalolo's re-signed for a couple of years, which is great news for the Cowboys. So they've got some faith in the systems up there. The Roosters, no Sonny Bill and no Anthony Minichiello. It's the first game that they're going to play under pressure without those two superstars. Blake Ferguson will be good for him, but probably not good from round 1. He'll come really good. So I think the Cowboys will get him on only at home week 1.
Panthers and the Bulldogs out at Pepper Stadium now out there at Penrith. Panthers, perhaps the surprise packets of last season. Where are they going to go this year? And the Bulldogs, obviously last season's grand finalists. How are they shaping up?
Yeah, well, the Bulldogs, let's talk about them first. Massive forward pack. The physicality of it is hard to contain. But I'm interested to see how the size of that forward pack can now go with the interpretation rule of quicker play the balls, get off and less wrestle. So the big sides might struggle a little bit. We might see a bit more fatigue from the big guys, but they're a fit football club. Brett Morris is a major signing. Brett Morris, they say, is that piece of the jigsaw that now gets them to win that grand final. So if that's a big call for them to make. Michael Ennis is gone. Captain's left. Michael Leisha comes in, which is an exciting dummy half. He'll probably play a bit of footy and run a bit more than what they had Michael running. So I think the Dogs will win this game. I think the Dogs will be too physical for Penrith. I'm unsure how Penrith are going to go. Great kids last year, all unearthed superstars. But I thought they overachieved a little bit. I just didn't expect them to go that well. Now they're under pressure, Penrith. Can they handle that expectations that they were a top 4 side last year without pressure? With pressure, are they able to handle that pressure? So I'm just going to tip Canterbury away this week just to see how Penrith start the season, to see if they can live up to that hype again.
You mentioned Brett Morris. Is he the X factor the Bulldogs have been lacking perhaps in that back line?
They do say, yeah. They say that he's the guy that's going to fill what Ben Barber did in 2012 for him. Barber got the Dally M medal in 2012 and they were probably one try away from winning the grand final against Melbourne. It was such a close game. So they haven't had that guy at the back. They've had the same structure and the same sort of style of football, but without a finisher. Now they've got that finisher to take the opportunities.
Sharks and Raiders, Sunday evening game down there at Ramonda Stadium. The Sharks are another side that people are expecting big things of this year. Of course, last year, the USADA drama went right through the year, finishing off with Gallen, Wade Graham and a couple of others with their bands. How are they going to go? Can they put that behind them and work their way up the table?
Well, they say they're a happy club. Certainly got the development's been approved. They've got a lot of money in the football club now. So uncertainty of the future of the Sharks is gone. They've got a coach back, which is probably the best news they've had for 12 months. And they've got players that are healthy who have done. They've all done full off seasons. No one's been on rep tours. No one's been sort of suspended for a period of time. So they played the Tigers in a trial and they looked extremely fit. They did look really fit. They seemed to play Barber more as a floating 5'8" instead of a structured 5'8", and they tried to rely on a bit of second phase football through the forwards, which has Gallen, Tupu, Fafita. They play that style well, so why not use that to their strength? So my concern is if there's no offloads, then how does Barber fit into the jigsaw? And if there's offloads, are they forced offloads, which creates a lot of errors. So I'm still unsure how the Sharks will go. I think they'll be good enough to beat the Raiders round 1. The Raiders certainly new halves combination in Cornish and Blake Austin. That's interesting. That'll take time to develop. They've lost some players last year. Brett White's retired. They've got to rebuild in Canberra. They had a horrible year last year. Ricky Stewart now gets them for the second year, but all I read about them in the preseason was they made 1,000 errors in the trials. Well, if you can't make errors in the competition because you're going to get beat. They made errors last year and they end up 16th. So it's certainly going to be extremely tough for them. Sharks will win at home, but I think it'll be interesting. These will be two sides I'm happy to see how they go, and we'll have better form for round 2.
Wrapping up round 1, the Dragons and the Storm down there at Wynn Jubilee Oval. The Dragons this week, Trent Merrin off to Penrith. Not a great deal of off-season movement for them. Coach Mary McGregor, can he get these guys up the table, or are they just going to fall away completely?
No, I think they'll struggle a little bit, yeah. I just don't think you can lose quality players. So they lost Brett Morris, he's a quality player. They've now got Trent Merrin going in 12 months' time. I just think it's been too hard. They've got rid of superstars out of their salary cap because they've had some dramas, and they've brought in sort of bottom tiers. That's going to be certainly hard. I think Paul McGregor's done a really good job in the Charity Shield and going to England. They played a controlled style of football. There's a bit of structure to what they do. The two halves are very good players, but I think you need the forwards to go forward and create a bit of momentum for you. Jason Nightingale's sort of the only finisher there. They got rid of Jared Beale, so they lost some centres. So Dugan at fullback. There's some good things there about the Dragons, but I just don't think they have enough talent there to go. I think Melbourne Storm have got a big season. All we've read about all off-season is the Melbourne Storm have trained hard because they thought they weren't up to how good they should have been last year. There's a lot of people thinking the Melbourne Storm or Manly could miss the 8 this year. It could be the comeback of the sides. I'm one of those people that think that they might be just on the 8 or borderline the 8. The big three do a lot for them. Ryan Hoffman's gone, so there's another one of their big jigsaw disappearing. So their talent is slowly draining. And they've got to keep refilling and stocking up talent. So they're a good football side. They're a well-coached football side. I think they'll be good enough to beat the Dragons on Monday night, but I've got my thoughts on where they'll finish this season.
There it is, a big round 1. Of course, all your footy tips need to be entered at footytips.com.au. You've heard it from Brett Kimmorley. Away you go.